What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to save you a little money and we're going to teach you how to do your own European mount. Now first off, I just want to give credit where credit is due. I learned how to do this from Whitebone Creation. I've done it a lot in the past and I was always just a little off with a few things, and Whitebone Creation's videos really helped me out. So go check out their channel, guys. They have a ton of videos doing a ton of different skulls, different things. So go check them out and then I'll show you how I do it now using their method. So my grandpa shot this deer this past weekend. It's a mule deer from West Texas, and when I got it, it still has all the meat on it. It was pretty dried out, and so the first thing I did was I just submerged it into a pot of water overnight. That's going to loosen up some of this meat. That's going to rehydrate it so that it boils off a lot easier. So now that this thing has been sitting in water for almost 24 hours, you can tell by the face it's much more rehydrated, much whiter. We are going to basically get as much meat off of this head as we possibly can. The more meat you get off now, the quicker, easier the boil is going to go. So we're going to start by first taking off the bottom jaw. Now to get this bottom jaw, you're basically just going to run your knife on the inside edge of it as far back as you can. Getting all that meat down in there. Then we're just going to use the pry method. Cut the corners here. Cut as much meat as you can, just pry it apart. There's bottom skull. Bottom jaw, I guess. Okay, now guys, I'm just going to basically cut any tissue that I can possibly cut off this thing. Cut the eyeballs out. Just anything I can get off here before we put it in the bowl, that's what we're cutting. Once we're done with that, I'll show you what we're going to boil it in. Alright guys, as you can see, I got most of the big pieces of meat off here. I got both eyeballs out. And now we're ready to boil this thing. So next step is I'm going to take saran wrap, wrap the bases of both antlers with saran wrap, cover that with electrical tape, that way the tape's not actually touching the horns, and then that's going to allow us to actually submerge this whole head in the water. You can see I didn't have saran wrap yesterday, and you can see this line where this top part is it's pretty dry still because I didn't have that submerged last night. So that'll let us get water all the way on the skull, get it all boiled. We're gonna put it in the pot. Okay guys, we have the bases saran wrapped and then covered in electrical tape now. We're ready to put this thing in the water. Let me show you how I do it. First off, you're gonna need a propane bottle and a fish cooker, and then you're gonna need a pot of some kind. I've got a couple of different pots. This one seems to be the one that works best, but basically, we're just going to put this in the water. We're going to put this in the pot rather. We're going to fill it up with water, and we're going to dump a scoop of OxiClean in it and then bring it to a boil. Once this thing boils, we're going to set a timer for about 30-35 minutes, and then we're going to do our first pressure wash. Alright guys, so I'm going to fill this thing up to where the entire head is submerged, all the meat is covered. That's why we have this saran wrap and that electrical tape on these horns is so it doesn't discolor them. And then we're going to mix some OxiClean in here. Alright, so now we have just regular old OxiClean, the powder, and there's no real specific measurement for this stuff. I'll be honest, I just take my scooper, take a full scoop, 3/4 scoop, something like that. Toss it on in there. Alright guys, the reason that we're putting the OxiClean in there is it works as a degreaser. It basically is going to take some of the fat out, some of the grease out. It's going to make it have a little less yellow color. It's going to make it look awesome. Alright guys, now that we got our water with our head and our OxiClean, we're going to turn this bad boy on. Get her lit. Now I'm going to turn this thing basically full blast to get this thing to start boiling. Okay, like I said earlier guys, I have this thing full blast. We're going to get it to boiling. Once it hits boiling, I'm going to set a timer for 30-40 minutes, somewhere around there. I'm going to look at the forehead of this deer, see if the skin is starting to separate from the skull, and not the skin, but the tissue starting to separate. Then we're going to take it to the power washer. So one issue I always had doing skulls is I would always boil them entirely too long. You know, doing it this method, you have to boil them for 30-40 minutes, power wash the shit out of them, boil them for another 30 minutes or so, and that's it. So you got like an hour and 10 minutes boiling these things, that's it. Used to, I would leave them in there for like 4 or 5 hours, and the skull gets really brittle when you boil them too long. So we've had it on here probably 20 minutes or so, and it's just now wanting to start boiling. It's getting hot. Every once in a while you'll see a bubble come up. So here in about 5 or 10 more minutes, we'll set our timer for 30 minutes. Okay guys, now you can see it's at a rolling boil. We're gonna set our timer. We're gonna let this thing boil for about 30 minutes or so. We're gonna come out here, do our first pressure wash, see how much of this we can get off the first try. So you can see that some of that head's exposed now because some of the water evaporated out of there while this is boiling. So we're gonna get our hose. We're just gonna fill it up just a little more so it's covering that head again. Now we're back to covering that head. We're gonna keep on letting her boil. We got about 15 minutes left. All right guys, our timer just went off. It's time to check this head and bust out the power washer. All right guys, as you can see, a lot of this meat is separating from the skull. It's starting to pull apart, pull off of there. It is time to power wash. All right guys, so here's what this skull looks like after 30 minutes in the bowl. You can see everything's starting to pull off. Everything's starting to separate from the skull. And now we're gonna pressure wash the crap out of it. Alright guys, I will be completely honest with you, this thing got really clean the first boil. So I'm probably only going to boil this thing maybe another 10 minutes before I switch it to the peroxide. Apparently they cut this head off with a saw because it's looking a little rough in the back. But the only thing I need to do, I got to get the brain out of here. And then after you boil it, when you're cleaning it, you pop out these earbuds. You stick a screwdriver in there, pop out the earbuds, beat them so you want a hole basically right here where the earbuds are. That allows you to get the brain out. That allows you to have a good hole in the skull to get all that clean. But I'm going to put this back in the bowl for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to pull it out, spray it down one more time, and then it'll be off to the peroxide. Alright guys, as you can see, we basically have gotten every little tiny piece of meat off of this skull. So we're going to dump out our boiling pot of water, and we're going to start with a new pot of fresh water, and we're going to mix, normally want to mix 30 to 40% peroxide to it. However, I only have like a half a gallon. So we're going to do half a gallon of peroxide and the rest water. May have to boil it a little longer to get it white, but we're going to basically put the head in the pot, turn the heat on, bring it to a boil, boil it for 10, maybe 15 more minutes, spray it off, and this thing's done. All right guys, so right here is what we're using as our whitener. It is a 40 volume crystal clear peroxide, and usually 30 to 40% peroxide to water is what you want. I don't quite have that right now, so I'm just doing what I have. We put it on there cold again, new water, clean water. If I can find it, there it is. Put it on cold. We're gonna bring it to a boil, and then in about 10 to 15 minutes after it starts boiling, we're just going to turn the heat off, and we'll be done. All right everybody, I just took this out, and here it is, the finished product. There are a few spots like right up in here that could be a little wider, but I think a lot of that has to do with, number one, didn't quite have enough peroxide, and two, the meat was dried pretty good on there when we boiled this thing. So if I get a little more peroxide, I can probably dunk this back in there, boil it just a little longer with a little stronger peroxide mix, and get it just a little bit wider. But I think it turned out good. I think my grandpa will be happy. I did get this one pedicle, just a little bit, the bleach got to it, or the peroxide got to it. So I'll probably get some stain, put it on there. But you know, this buck has some really white spots in his horns anyway, so I don't really think that's going to matter that much. Still may fix it for peepaw though. So thanks for watching guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. subscribe, share it. Let me know if you liked it. Probably do another one of these because hopefully I kill me a buck this weekend.